All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Jester here with Studio into the final game of the night, Reality Check Gaming, up against Denial Esports, the previous double buff, people that we have seen, watch, and love. Man, that game number 4, it felt like, it just kind of exploded at the end of their Studio, but I'm excited to see what we have for our last game of the night.
I mean, really, I didn't know who was going to win. I thought for a while, alright, Complexity Academy, they've got the advantage, they're a bit farther ahead. Then they lost a fight, and at that point, everything was up in the air, but overall, that was a fantastic match. I love the challenger stuff, because when you have players that are a little bit more unknown, you just don't know what to expect. And you will have the assumptions and presume stuff for LCS games, but challenger stuff, just like, what the hell is going to happen? And do you know? I don't know. And that's what I love. I love just the X factor. Pooh Bear does give the ready check though, so hopefully champion picks should be starting up soon.
Yep, just making sure that both teams are ready to go, and we will get this rolling challenger tier coming out. 696 ranked wins for Glebe Garbu. That just kind of takes the cake. Everyone else is in double digits. He's at nearly 700.
Wait, that's confusing
that
because
is confusing.
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to show like team stats. Because if you click on like Inox, for example, it's showing the team stats for Glebe Garbu. It's just showing his ranked solo queue stats. But yeah, Glebe Garbu, I don't know if he's the most well-known player out there, but he's been in Challenger for a while. I've played some solo queue games with him. He is solid. He is a solid player. It's fun to see him. Oh, it's Fragnatic. All right, is Fragnatic support? I have to double check that really quickly because Fragnatic is one of the funniest players in League of Legends. Like, if you want untapped aggression, and you gotta go with Fragnatic. That guy will kill, like, he will do anything for a kill, and it's fantastic to watch.
What would you do for a Klondike bar? Anything. Kind of like that.
Howard, it's like, alright, if there's a tier 3 tower dive at the 4-minute mark, and Fragnatic's behind it, A, I will not be surprised, and B, it will be successful. And I was going for 80 carry, so I've seen him play a lot of different roles. It's gonna be Fragnatic on the 80 carry role, so probably less crazy dives, but you know what, if that controls them, it lets that aggression turn to CS and kills, I'm okay with that.
Alrighty, so let's expect a great game coming out from Reality Check Gaming there on your blue. It is going to be Denial Esports there on the purple. Glebe Garbu, Inox, Scuba Chris, Nubby Pooh Bear, Flappy Bearfish. All these mouthfuls of names are absolutely delightful to talk about. Who's up on the band here, Mr. Studio?
I was going to say, they love their syllables over there. And for Reality Check Gaming, they've got Bubba Dub, Fragnatic, Tofu Shift, Pants R Dragon, and X Shepherd. Just a lot of, I'd say, a lot of old names, a lot of new names. Fragnatic's been playing competitively for about, I'd say, maybe a year now, maybe a year and a half. Nubby Pooh Bear, he was back on the old Orbit, which is currently Cloud9 after like 8 different name changes. And, Inox, Glebe Garbu, Flappy Bearfish, Scuba Chris, they've all had their LCS attempts have just been, in that, I'd say, dome of just competitive and semi-professional play.
Well, that's what we're here for. We're here to see that big semi-professional play. I mean, who knows? A few weeks from now, these challenger teams, they might be our new LCS rivals. Look at the success story of Cloud9 and a lot in the EU as well, like Evil Geniuses and SK bottom 4. Who would have thunk it? But it's all about these guys, this new blood. So, that being said, game number 5 of the night. Last one here for us. Lee Sin, Twisted Fate, Draven. We're not going to be seeing any of them. Jayce, Nunu, and Zach. There's the responses here from Denial. And, it's not going to be a night of Nunu.
It does leave the Elise available. Elise, one of those high priority picks. Put her top lane, put her jungle. She is effective no matter where you put her, really. Actually, support as well. We saw that definitely coming into play. And Nox picking up the Nidalee. Now, I've seen him play a lot of, actually, oh god, I'm trying to remember the roles, because I've seen Inox play everything. I know Nubby Poober will be going mid lane. I would expect Nubby Poober to play a more standard mid. He's never been more of a Nidalee player, but Inox, I've seen him do some crazy stuff. Nidalee up in the top lane, so that'll be fun to see what they pull out. I'm guessing that's going to be Evelyn jungle versus Fiddlesticks for support. I like it.
Well, Evelyn jungle or Evelyn in one of the solo lanes, or maybe no Evelyn at all. It's really up to them. Now, I'm looking at that Fiddlesticks. I see that Ryze. I see that, bro. But Fiddlesticks. Now, what are you thinking? Jungle sticks, middle sticks, or support sticks?
I guess support sticks, just because every other Fiddlesticks is a little bit riskier. Support sticks, a little less scary, just because, someone like Thresh, for example, doesn't have super high range early on. He can do his crow throw, just to toss out that Dark Wind like crazy, and nothing's going to stop him. So you can play aggressively in the bot lane as a Fiddlesticks, even against someone like Thresh, who, I'm going to be honest, if he lands a Death Sense at level 2, will kill Fiddlesticks like nobody's business. But if he doesn't, the Crow Throw Harass will come out pretty much uncontested, aside from maybe some auto-attack responses from the very short-range Thresh.
Karma. Could be interesting. I don't think we'll see it. But Jarvan gonna go 5 for 5 tonight. Everybody loves some Jarvan. But Graves, one of the newer ADCs tonight. No more Caitlyn's. And we did have Draven actually banned out.
Well, there's a Caitlyn pick that disappeared.
No! Oh, well.
May not get picked. It's getting picked. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's very likely at this point. As you said, I mean, it's safe, right?
it is the safe pick. It is reliable. For this team, it's not an AoE-centric team, even though Fiddlesticks does provide a lot of AoE damage. But there's a lot going on where Caitlyn can just sit in the back line, Ryze can get a single target DPS off. Essentially, Fiddlesticks and Kennen combined are two big scary threats, which will let all the single target DPSers, maybe not so much Elise, but Ryze and Caitlyn for sure, get off the damage they need to.
Not entirely too sure what Flappy wants to lock in here for the team in this last slot, but Kennen once again coming out, very likely up in that top. Now in terms of
Gragas.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, we saw Gragas earlier, and we put him into a 2v1 situation. You know, he's a fairly safe 2v1er, has that escape, has infinite mana, virtually, as well as that innate healing. But if we're going to see a Gragas here, are we going to see a proposed lane swap then?
Gragas would actually be a fantastic pick here. Because there's Ahri works too. Essentially, anything disruptive, anything that can mess up.
I wanted a fat man though.
The heavy initiation. I would have loved a Gragas pick too. But the question would be, you're right, how do the lanes work out? The Ahri pick works out well. She's very mobile. She's very hard to lock down. She actually is very easily locked down by both Fiddlesticks and Ryze. But they have a team that can, if Kennen and Fiddlesticks move on forward and try and do something, they have a team that can mess that up, because you can't lock down the Ahri. Ahri herself can very easily land a charm on both Fiddlesticks and Kennen, and they have lots of ways to CC them, keep them in control, and let someone like Jarvan keep the enemy team in control, not let, Caitlyn get reliable single target damage off, not let Ryze get his just burst, his shotgun Qs coming out of his palm. And that's a good punish. That's a good way to slow them down. If you can just waste their time and let someone like Graves get a bunch of AoE off, let someone like Nidalee actually split push like crazy. It's a very mobile team, and that mobility is going to be one of their strong suits.
I'm looking at that Fiddle. I was looking at his summoner spells. Not going to talk about them quite yet, but it made me wonder there for a minute. But a lot of people there in the chat is just saying Nidalee, Nida-free. Prepare to be impressed by Enox. So yeah, Leonox up there in a lane, Navi Puveri in a lane. That leaves us with Thresh, who was banned out one game tonight, 1 out of the 5. But Thresh and the Graves bottom, more or less. They're, well, the ADC combo. Now, where do you think it's going to be for Ryze? Ryze is very likely that mid, right?
Yeah, I'd assume Ryze is going to go mid lane, just because between Ryze and Kennen is a bit safer if something happens in the top lane. If it's a 1v2, for example, Kennen can usually survive that much more than Ryze can, just because of the Shuriken's range. While Ryze, like, alright, cool, I've got my spammable Q, I can CS easily, they'll just kill me every time I go to CS. So yeah, Kennen would be the safe option.
I'm looking at Kennen, and his runes they don't have any ability power, they only have physical damage, they have lifesteal, and 21-9, and most of it's an ADC again. So either we're going to see an extremely hybrid Kennen, or could we see an ADC Kennen?
It could be AD carry Kennen. Now, the lifesteal quints are what's scary, but it does make sometimes lifesteal quints go very, very far, very, very early. But in general, most Kennens will actually build a lot of AD in both their masteries and runes just to be a jerk in lane. Like, that is your goal. It's like, all right, I'm Kennen, time to be a jerk. But with a lifesteal, that implies that he doesn't really either want to leave lane, or he wants to eventually just build up and go for an AD carry style build. Now, I would assume this is to counter Nidalee. Because if it's an AP Nidalee, well, she'll roam, she'll be a pain.
It is.
But yeah. Well, a Kennen with a AD can actually do well against that. You just can't get hit by the spear, but you can just sit in lane forever if they go for a split push. If they don't go for a split push, Kennen is still effective. He may do less damage with his AP, but his W will do more burst damage. And in the end, it's not so much the damage that matters with Kennen, it is, but no matter what you build on him, if it's either AD or AP, he'll still do enough damage to burst down one person. You just have to start auto-attacking now.
So on that note, I looked at Nubby Pooh Bear, 27-0-3, and again, rocking a little bit of penetration on both ends in the runes. So our mages in the middle, or our mages in the top, are less mages more than hybrid these early days, especially when you see Kennen's doing those Doran Blade starts. But we're going to get into this game. Game number 5, reality check game in there on your left, Denial Esports on your right. Prepare to be entertained here on the MCS. We'll catch you after our word from our sponsors, so don't go anywhere. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get game number 5 here rolling, loading up your blue team. It's going to be Reality Check Gaming. Here on the right, it's going to be Denial, the former double buff, the LCS contenders multiple times. And bam, there we go. We are ready to roll. So, Mr. Studio, level 1 fight? What do you think?
Level 1 fight. Alright, let's look on Bubba Dub. What does he have points in anything yet? No. Alright, that's huge, because let's look over at Fiddlesticks, Ryze, Elise, and actually Caitlyn too. You can chain a trap in there very easily. So there is so much lockdown and CC potential coming out from that blue side team that there's just not a lot to stop them. Now on the other hand, they have Charm, they have Death Sentence, they actually have a lot of CC themselves, but not nearly as much, not nearly as reliable. And that's why I'd expect them to play more defensively. They have the Jarvan standard to scout out, make sure they don't get ganked, and it's going to be probably a passive level 1, but my god. Reality Check does anything, it's almost a free kill.
Yeah, Tofu Shift is going to be finding Scuba Chris, but we didn't have the Rune Prison, did have the Q instead. Spear going to come out a little bit off-center, but that's alright. A lot of poke that can come out from this level, and simply because of Enox and that Spear, the multiplicative damage because of distance travel can really just surprise chunk you down, but doesn't look like we're going to be gearing up for any kind of invades. We already got Ahri going to be heading back. So in terms of a lane swap, it does seem like Graves going to be heading bottom with Thresh, and I don't see Fragnatic heading top either. So maybe standard there in this case.
Now, I gotta say, Tofu Shift unfortunately did choose the Overload a little bit too early. Had he waited and chosen Rune Prison, I'm pretty sure he was in range with Jarvan anyways. But more importantly, he could have possibly flashed, and they definitely have enough lockdown to secure that kill. That could have also been a bait from Denial, though, because everybody was ready for that. Everybody was waiting for it. I think once the CC started to come out, they were just going to sweep out of nowhere and try and take them out. So, very cool moves from both sides.
Check this out. Check where
Ryze top.
Yeah, but Shepherd could possibly be bottom, which means we're going to see our ADC support mid, just like we did last game.
It looks like it. Shepherd's definitely angling towards that position.
Yep. Nah, he definitely is.
The lifesteal makes a lot of sense here as well, because that lifesteal will eventually be huge in keeping him alive in lane. So going to be a lot of pressure applied towards Ahri. Ryze now top lane versus Nidalee. That's a fine matchup too. All the matchups here are pretty solid for Reality Check. The one weakness would be Kennen in the bot lane, but Kennen with his Q can survive 1v2 fairly easily. And even if he doesn't have that much AP, he can still auto-attack and last hit for some decent regeneration.
Ooh, I think we're having a little bit of a reaction here. Nubby Pooh Bear is going to come bottom. They're going to throw their own ADC support there in the mid, so they don't want to let that go unchecked, which means we are going to have the swap. So it is going to be all the normal matchups, just again a little bit of funky dealings with the lanes, but it will be the 2v2 mid, the 1v1 bottom, the 1v1 top.
Oh, look at Shepherd going, though. Nubby Pooh Bear down to half HP. They're fighting this out. The minions helping out Nubby a bit, but he's going to go down. One more auto attack secures the deal, and Nubby Pooh Bear just walks to his death.
Did not expect that kind of auto attack damage. Mid lane, however, we got an exhaust on top of Flappy Bearfish, but he cleansed it out. Glebe Garbu is looking for it, throws down that ward, going for Bada Boob. Does not grab it, but that's going to be Scuba Chris going in. Panther Dragon, however, is going to help get the kill for Fragnatic. That's going to be the flash, doesn't matter. Red buff, and now Scuba Chris has refreshed his. Flappy Bearfish is not done yet. He's looking for the kill on top of that, that Fiddlesticks, but the Q from Fragnatic is able to get him out. Flash across, and Scuba Chris picks up the 2 for 2. And all of a sudden, Bubba Dub has to run for his life, but he's all out of tricks, and that red buff is going to tick down for Scuba Chris.
No, unfortunately for Fiddlesticks, he does not provide a lot of damage in those sustained fights early on. His cooldowns are ridiculous at level 1. I believe it's like almost 15 seconds for both spells. It is 15 seconds for both his spells. So 4 times a minute he can do something, and that fight was about 30 seconds. He got 3 casts off, but unfortunately just not enough in the end, and the higher impact in a sustained fight of Thresh, Jarvan with his passive and very high early damage just really came in there and gave them a little bit more control. Still though, it's 3-3. The first blood gold nullifies the assist that Kennen didn't give out in the bot lane, and I really don't know who's ahead in lanes right now. So alright, mid lane gonna be a little bit more in favor, except Jarvan got every single kill. That is actually terrifying. Yeah. Oh my god, Scuba Chris.
Yeah, 3-0 Jarvan. As well, I mean, he stole out those double buffs, right, from Panther Dragon, so he has to now kind of go around. We don't have the red buff for the ganks, we don't have the blue buff for this quick clears. That's going to start hurting him, at least until it respawns. I'm curious to see if he's actually going to take it back. Really, the only weird part was this bottom lane, where Nubby Cooper just kind of didn't really react in time to the Kennen. Everything else was just Jarvan cleaning up, as Jarvan does, and everyone in the top lane's like, yeah, sup, it's cool up here.
I guess the best way to describe Nubby Pooper was he just kind of died.
Yeah.
Like, something happened, I wasn't really sure how it started, but he just wasn't there at the end of the fight. But now, Jarvan, when he gets an early kill, he already has a Spirit Stone. He already has a longsword to go with it, and boots. His ganks are going to be very high damage very quick. So, if he just shows up in lane and just applies pressure to Fragnatic, does get hit by the Thresh pull.
Oh,
hit by
wow.
Well, Fragnatic, this is not looking good for you because a Jarvan kills you as you are blind. That is a 4-0 Jarvan. Someone pick up that bounty as Inox takes a bit of damage top lane.
Yeah, Inox is looking really low. We do got that Ignite on Tofa Shift for the Q, but it's going to be enough because of the Ignite. He actually cast it second, and that's going to be a death for Inox. 4-4 now, but all 4, as he said, on that Jarvan. I like how he came there at the end for that kill steal, quote unquote. But I also looked at, no, that's going to be the death sentence. Bubba Dub is not looking so healthy, but a great cocoon resets it there for Panther Dragon. And we went from red to the double buffs for Scuba Chris, and then he went and took his blue afterwards. So he's had all 4 buffs under his control this 6-minute game so far.
At the moment, it's not really the lanes. It's if Scuba Chris shows up in a lane, that lane will get a kill.
That's so far, yeah.
They're in relative range for Scuba Chris to contribute something. But part of it was Fiddlesticks getting hit by a death sentence, Pragmatic getting hit by a death sentence, so you cannot let that happen. I mean, Fiddlesticks does not contribute enough right now, and he's also squishy. And Pragmatic kind of playing Caitlyn, same thing. It's like, alright, he can escape, but Thresh can interrupt that escape. You can use Flail to stop the Caliber net disengagement, and Tofu Shift, he's not going to survive this. I can say that right now, if Inox is in position.
Nah, Inox is just a little bit too far back. The spear even gets interrupted by that BM caster creep. But yeah, Jarvan was just waiting there. He's like, I know that he's going to come here with a ward. Fortunately, could not capitalize it there with Inox. But still, the damage was done. Tofu now has to live, minus that hit points up against Inox. And Inox at this point is up in CS as well. So might have that death compared to the kill, but up in CS, does have herself a chalice. Should be okay going forward.
Really, look at the damage. That was a EQ combo from Jarvan. Took Ryze to half HP. Fight bot lane. Shepard going after Nubby Pooh Bear. Nubby Pooh Bear does have the ult. Shepard does have his ult activated as well. Nubby, though, goes forward. The last ultimate doesn't do any damage. The Orbit Deception doesn't land. Shepard's so low. Can he pick up the kill? Ignite Ticks will not secure it. It's actually Nubby Pooh Bear last second fires out a charm just to get his passive activated. He barely survives that fight. A great engagement coming back from a 1v1 loss early on is mid lane. Oh my god, Bubba Dub. Can you survive this?
Yeah, Scuba Chris with the level 6. At 7 minutes in, the level 6 brings him another kill, but the shutdown comes out for Caitlyn, and that is going to be a huge chunk of gold going the way of Fragnatic. And if you look at the kills coming out here, from Reality Check Gaming. 3 of them have landed on top of Caitlyn, but she has the boots, the tier 2 boots. She has the double Dorans, and now in terms of the cash, she is by far outclassing Flappy Bearfish.
That's a huge pickup right there. That is 500 gold. That just went to Caitlyn. Inox up top lane taking a lot of damage as well. We'll be able to heal him up, heal himself up, even though he is low on mana. But I mean, really, overall, all the lanes are kind of even. You know, Ryze versus Nidalee, there was a kill to Ryze, but Nidalee has gotten to a proper level, and with the support of Jarvan, she's equal, essentially. Mid lane, Caitlyn just got 500 gold. That's a lot of gold.
Terrifying.
And then bot lane, you know, Ahri versus Kennen. Ahri picked up those kills. It was a very close fight. And that's kind of the point. Everything is close now. I do not know who is ahead in lane. I do not know if this will be a laning game for much longer, as if the junglers start meeting up, start going for that dragon, it's going to be very quickly who has a better early team fight. I think that actually goes to Reality Check.
Oh, this could be bad. Panzer Dragon gets caught throwing out those wards. Here comes Scuba Chris. Enox as well throwing out the damage, but they're not going to be robbing the Spider of those double kills quite yet. Fragnatic actually on the run here from Bubba from Gleegarby as well as Flappy Bearfish. They were probably caught out warding as well. Descent is not going to land, but oh so close. Here comes Scuba Chris as well. 20 seconds to a Cataclysm, but he's going to try his best. Anyways, Bubba Dub is looking real tasty, and that's going to be the Lantern gank, and that is not going to be a survivable death for Bubba Dub, as we got the collateral damage picking that one up.
Only a 200 CS difference, or gold difference, actually even less than that, between the two teams. Dragon now being looked at. No Bubba Dub, no Fiddlesticks support. Going to be a 4v3 at best, so I'd say a very clean pickup right now for Denial. Elise is in the area, could try and do something, but it's going to be a little bit too late.
Yeah, had she actually gone forward a little bit longer, would have gotten hit by that death sentence, but really wise just to back on out of that one. But still, so no towers, but hey, 9 minutes in to get themselves that dragon. Enox is keeping Tofu Shift busy in this top lane. Look at this, just going right behind him, proxy farming, or at least proxy aggroing at this point. And Tofu Shift just kind of cowering under that tower.
Inox trying to bait out the Tofu Shift back up into that spear. And that was a cool play, because Inox, even though he might have gone for the kill, I think he would have picked it up, but it could have very easily been a 1-for-1. So instead, he just tried to get Ryze to auto-attack him and get creep aggro, and then maybe if Ryze did that, be able to pick up the kill successfully. It took a while though, and it wasn't safe, but it was a cool trick to see. It was a cool idea, and essentially very little risk and a very high possibility of reward.
Now we do got Shepard and Pants Dragon just camping out in this bush. You will notice another lane swap has occurred. Gleegarby down here with Flappy, but you know, Nubby Pooh Bear is level 8. Should be able to hold off a lot of that aggression. Doesn't matter. Shepard's going to go straight for Flappy Bearfish. That's going to be the cleanse, but is it going to be enough? Where's the repel? The repel should be enough to finish it off. The Death Sentence does come out on top of Shepard. Will be enough with that tower shot. It will. Gleegarby will be able to pick up the revenge kill, but it still will be Flappy Bearfish going out for Shepard. At the same time, however, top lane pressure has been awarded the tower death for Denial, and Nubby Pooh Bear is just looking at half health all of a sudden.
Putting a lot of poke in the mid lane, and this is the cool thing about a Fed Jarvan. He also provides the extra attack speed on his Demacian standard, and so he gets more plays than that, and if he can just win engagements, he can very easily transition that into a tower kill. He's a fast team pusher because of the bonus attack speed. He's also a decent pusher on his own. Looking towards that mid lane though, looking for a fight. Bubba Dub is level 6. But if he's at the beginning of an engagement, if he can't get his ult off reliably, he's not going to do a lot in a fight. He can get the fear off, that's huge. But in a 2v2 with a Fed Jarvan, he's just not going to stay alive for very long.
Well, it's Fed Jarvan 4-1-2. He does have that completed Spirit of the Elder Lizard. No tankiness there. He's just going to go straight for those kills. We have no tower up here, Tofu Shift. He's going to get jumped on by Scuba Chris. That's going to be the Cataclysm. Do we have a flash? Tofu, he will flash out. Enox, again, just a little bit too late to the party in order to make that kill happen. But again, flash received. And that gank was worth it at this point, because you're going to get that Cataclysm up before the flash does come back. And Enox is just going to feel even safer farming out this top lane.
Alright, they got the trap stop in the middle. I think this is a moment, now that Fiddlesticks is at level 6, a Reality Check has to go ahead and check themselves and start doing something. Because a laning game, like, what lane can they win now? Mid lane, maybe with a Fiddlesticks they could beat Ahri, but Ahri's going to get out of any fight with her ultimate. Bot lane, Kennen's not going to 1v2 if Thresh is there, and he definitely can't 1v1 Graves, actually. Thresh is just being a jerk.
Yeah, Thresh is just like...
Ward fight!
Oh, he doesn't get it! No, he doesn't! Cleave Garbu is going to get chunked, however. Bubba is going to come in with the Crow Storm! Nubby Pooh Bear is not going to be there for it. Panzer Dragon able to pick up the kill. That's going to be the flash from Scuba Chris. Everyone's following. Collateral damage comes out. Does not matter that there was an exhaust. Here comes Shepard, and Flappy's not looking so good after that. The Q comes out. Double kill again coming out for Caitlyn. She's now sitting at 5-2-1. I'm thinking she's surpassing Jarvan in the farm at this point. He had a good, strong start, but Fragnatic is really putting the pain to Denial.
300 gold on him. Actually, now Pooper now looking for some aggression, looking for a kill. Panzer Dragon so low. Does he have a repel? He's dead.
Yeah, a little bit too far.
Like, he escaped the first tower. It's like, is he gonna get out? No. Welcome to the second. That's a really hard escape, though. That's actually, I don't even know if there's a good window to actually escape that area when you're moving forward. But in the end, you know, it's another kill picked up. It's a turret being pushed down mid. Caitlyn, she has 5,400 gold. She's getting up there and going to be a huge, huge threat. Draven looking for a kill, though.
Yeah, I don't think he has the cooldown. So actually, he does have the cooldown. Cataclysm is back up. But yeah, the Lantern transmit, I guess, or the translocate. He's able to cross a lot of big distances, and then the Flag and Drag, Cataclysm, Flash, anything he needs to do. He can cover a lot of ground, but I guess they decided it wasn't worth it. Instead, they're going to go look here at the blue, and he gets it!
It's gotta sting. That's gotta sting so hard. It's just... Man.
That's why you always ward the blue.
Ryze. Ryze wants his blue buff.
Yeah, poor guy.
Now, Ryze being denied his blue buff, that's going to waste some time. Actually, Kennen being engaged on in the bot lane. The box does slow him down by quite a bit. X-Shepard trying to escape. It does get a stun, but, I mean, Fluffy Bearfish is doing all the damage, so... you stun the Thresh. It's all he really could have done there, but he does go down. That is a little bit more gold going to Graves. Now, Graves, he's been a little bit farther behind in kills. I think in overall gold, he's down by about 500, but he has a Bloodthirster still. So even though he might not do as much auto attack damage as Caitlyn, his burst is going to be higher. And it's just kind of how Graves rolls. So if they can really contend with the Graves, who will just shred through people with that collateral damage, it's going to be... Oh, Fluffy Bearfish caught out of position. Doesn't get hit by the trap. Does get rooted in place for a bit, though. Bubba Dub, though, not really much follow-up now that his Fury and Crow Throw have been used. Like, if they can contend with Graves' burst damage, they can win a sustained DPS fight. But Graves' burst damage is right now crazy.
Yeah, especially with a J4 right there. As we said, you know, 4-0 start. He has that damage ready to go. Panzer Dragon nowhere, you know, even near the bot lane to help. He's holding down the mid, and of course we can see Tofu shift in the top. Shepard reveals himself mid as well. Elise really wants to go here on top of Nubby Pooh Bear. That was the repel and the cocoon. Here comes Shepard, though. It doesn't have the cooldown to catch up with Nubby, but as he said, with that Spirit Rush, very mobile. It's very hard to lock her down unless you got some chain CC ready to go. She should be able to pick up that blue as well, and both blue will now go towards Denial. Crowstorm coming out just to be a jerk, but, you know, mission accomplished.
Now, the cool thing about denying the ultimate right there is it's no longer up for this fight, and it had a long cooldown because she did not have blue buff. Dragon now being looked at, though. Both sides, both top players heading down there. It was already picked up, though, by Reality Check. A hook on the Bubba Dub, not who you want to get hooked in, already goes down. Jarvan going for the fight. Kennen ultimate is huge. They pick up Nubby Pooh Bear. Here comes the Inox cleanup crew, though. This is not looking good for Reality Check with Flappy Bearfish. Will he survive? Survived with about 30 HP. He went down there.
Thank
but
you,
know
based Bearfish.
That's a 4-for-1 right there.
Yeah.
And they can push down bot.
Yeah.
Graves will go right back up. That was a great fight. You know, you cannot get hooked as Fiddlesticks. Like, look at Bubba Dub right now. He's got boots of mobility and a Sightstone.
Yep. And a Vision Ward.
And a Vision Ward. But his overall tankiness is nothing. He needs to actually either just hang out far back or somehow get enough farm to buy items to stay alive. That mid turret, though, in danger. Does survive at the last second thanks to that Ryze AoE damage from the ultimate, but I mean, it's been chunked down. Bot goes down. The turrets are really building up. The kills are really building up for Denial. This is getting scarier and scarier. Support Fiddlesticks eventually doesn't really do anything. Like, he still has the fear, which is awesome. Crazy. It's a 3-second stun. But unfortunately, if you fall really far behind, he will never stay long enough to cast it more than once. Pragmatic being caught out in the box, in danger, in the blindness, in the darkness. Shot in the face.
I want to make some kind of darkness joke with Thresh, but now I'll leave it to better minds. At this point, 16-11, bottom tower going down, and now this tier 2 is in big danger of dropping as well. Support Fiddlesticks, I have run support Fiddlesticks myself. My experience is if he just gets absolutely demolished, then he's not going to do anything. And as you can see here, he's going to get actually hooked into the crew. Not entirely too sure that was the best of ideas because Flappy Bearfish is still taking a lot of damage from Pants our Dragon. It will land the shutdown, so right there, even if he goes down, which he might, that repel is going to be at least a delay tactic. Here comes Scuba Chris. 1 for 1, but we got the shutdown on top of Flappy Bearfish. So the gold is going to go the way here of Reality Check. I'm not too sure that hook was the best of ideas because it just brought the damage right up to Flappy. But still, 1 for 1. They weren't able to take Bubba Dub, and Enox, however, might be caught top.
Enox should be able to escape this. The Tofu ship does have flash available if he wants to really go in for it. But, Enox hits the bushes, has extra move speed boost, will be fine. And, like you mentioned, you don't do a lot as Fiddlesticks. It's true, unless you survive. Yeah, and he survived. He survived long enough to get the fear off, and that's all that was needed to secure the kill onto Graves. It was a 1 for 1, so, not the best trade, but it was still a kill on the Graves, a shutdown on the carry. And it's important to pick up kills like that. But really, that's all he can really do now. The damage from his ultimate negligible. It's 150. I mean, if he survives for 5 seconds, it's nice, but he's not going to survive for 5 seconds. Let's be honest. They're going to turn, focus him, kill him, walk right along.
Well, 1,200 hit points and, no armors. Yeah
1,200 HP. Fiddlesticks has some of the lowest base resistances in the game. And even with runes, it's still not a lot. Stun on the Fluffy Bearfish, though. This is huge as they chain the fear into it. A clean kill there. Glebe Garbu just running for his life right now. Thresh, can he get a death sense? Can he get something out of this? A flail? Something? Gone.
Yeah, mid lane, however, Shepherd, he's going to come here on top of Nubby. Nubby does not have that ult up. It's still down for 5 seconds. Unfortunately, does not look like he could actually stack up the stun for Tofu Shift to come in. So what happens? They're going to push out this mid. Jarvan turns right back around, steals out the blue again. Tofu Shift to get some bad news in the mail a little bit later. Charm is going to miss out on top of X Shepherd, but bottom lane turret going down as well. So not only is this mid lane pushing up, bottom lane is pushing up. Here comes Bubba Dub. It's not going to be enough to save out X Shepherd, but Nubby Pooh Bear able to help with that kill. Enox is now feeling pretty good. That's going to be the flash forward. Tofu is able to grab the equalizing kill as he does drop. Did cost him a flash, but he goes home with a kill. You've got to be happy about that.
That is the manliest of man mode plays there from Tofu Shift. Like, all right, I'm going down. You're going down too, Nubby Bear. You had your chance. You could have survived. You could have backed on out of this. But guess what? Now you go down. Pragmatic. He gets his recall interrupted by the very, very end of that Jarvan Q. The Dragon Strike keeps him down. Pragmatic pops a barrier. He can... Nope.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's a comeback here, I believe it will be Caitlyn to get it because we don't have that red buff on Scuba Chris, but collateral damage says otherwise. So.
Just get blown up. That's all there is for Pragmatic. Mid turret does go down. 2,000 gold lead in favor of Denial. This game still feels very, very oddly close.
It really is. Look at the goal. 2,000 goal difference at 20 minutes. We've seen much more extremes other than that. We have seen, the last game, for example, of 20 minutes in, nobody is above 500 gold, but all it takes is those few mistakes at the end game. One person with an extra death timer could lead into a snowballing demise of objectives and towers. So we're going to have to see who it is going to be here, but 2,000 gold between them, as you said. Hardly the game is over at this point, and I'm just looking at Caitlyn. 20 minutes in, she has not only the Infinity, but as well that Phantom Dancer, and she's even below in gold compared to this Graves. I mean, Graves looking pretty impressive as well, but on the surface of it, a Bloodthirster versus that Infinity Edge, you would have expected Caitlyn to actually be a bit higher.
Well, it's a Bloodthirster Phantom Dancer combination. I think Graves also has a lot of gold stocked up himself. Yep, 1,500. Yep. So he hasn't bought anything, and the relative strengths, they're actually probably the same right now. Mm-hmm. However, there's less time where Pragmatic and the rest of Reality Check can make a play and still have that parity. Because the second Graves buys something, which is going to be soon, he's going to be farther ahead. Still, though, I don't know who wins a fight. There's a lot of weird, not normal AoE, not consistent AoE, not, click here for big damage spells over on Denial. Someone like Ahri, for example, does great AoE damage, but you have to really put yourself in harm's way. However, the AoE coming out, actually a great charm on a Panther Dragon. In comes Smoke Screen. The meatball comes out, hitting Shepherd in the face. A lot of damage dealt there. The Inox Spear does not really land, though. That Shepherd gets taken out in the front line. The back line now completely exposed. Tofu Shift low on HP. Ahri going forward. Nubby Pooh Bear does take them down. Fluffy Bearfish, cocking his gun, shoots a Fiddlesticks in the back. Rests in peace. Pragmatic trying to do something before he goes down and meets his maker.
And the only one to actually get out of that one, Pants, our Dragon, because he flashed over a wall and just decided not to come back in. Enox, however, it might have something else to say about that. Leaps right into the cocoon. We might actually have them, ready to go to chase him off. But nope, that's going to be the flash forward. The red buffs are now going to be ticking down. Where's the repel? It's going to go up. It's going to avoid damage for now. Has nobody to repel to, and Enox is going to get that ace.
I mean, that was just a beautiful, beautiful fight. Kennen goes for what can he do? Nothing. Because the team splits it perfectly. They cannot land any CC. In the end, X-Shepard just off on his own, unable to do anything. And Glarbu playing with fire, walking into Caitlyn traps with no HP. Now going to tank Dragon for a second there. Almost goes down to 100 HP. He's actually taken away from the Dragon dot, but he does survive.
Oh man, if we had a Dark Wind go out, it could have been the funniest death. But no, Dragon does go down. They didn't have vision. None of that, unfortunately. So Glarbu gets out, skin of his teeth, no problem. 25-16, a 5-for-0 engagement, and they take, I believe, that tier 2 tower mid, and they take the Dragon on top of things. So that gold lead, all of a sudden, 2 grand, now 6. One fell swoop. Now we have a contestable lead here for now Esports, and now since they're the ones taking the lead in terms of what you've done in this game, it's their game to lose.
They're ahead by about 6,000 gold at this point. They can do what they want. They can just kind of walk towards Baron, maybe not go for the AoE fight, but set up the AoE trap. They can really just go for a pick-off style of game. I mean, Bubba level 9. He is not accomplishing anything in these fights at this point. It's the same thing. He can get a Fear off. He can get a Dark Wind off. But anything sustained, any sort of lasting contribution that, Glarbu can do with repeated flails, that someone like, Zyra could do if she just hangs out in the back and lands roots, it's not going to happen now for Bubba. So how do they play around essentially being a support down? There's not a lot they can do. They have to go for pick-off style of gameplay. But the team that's better at pickoffs is going to be Denial. They have more mobility. They have more options. They have more ways to just kind of mess with the enemy team and just get them in the jungle and get them alone.
Level 9. I didn't catch that, but
Nothing.
Bubba. Again, I'm just going to go back to my own experience. If you get shut down and a 069 Fiddlesticks is arguably shut down, it's extremely hard just to do anything else. I'm trying to remember, I looked at his rune set. I think he had 3 gold per 10 to just help him out, but he has no other gold per 10 items as well. If you check that out, I mean, usually you do see those sight stone, pretty standard, but you also get a gold per 10. But if you want to go like a really offensive support Fiddlesticks, you just get damage instead. But when you're this far behind, it's almost impossible for him to catch up.
Descent's gonna barely miss X-Shepard right there. That ward, it's gone. There's not much Fiddlesticks could have picked up. He had to go for the sight stone. He needed the raw HP. And now, he needs more, but he's just not getting any income for it. He needs to buy too many vision wards. He cannot buy an oracles because he will die, and he knows that.
Now, I've also been looking at Enox. I mean, a lot of people are like, Enox, prepare to be impressed, the inner free, GG well played, right? 200 ability power, 25 minutes in. Her spears really aren't ticking down for huge amounts, but I also noticed that she has a good amount of resistances, especially that magic resist, and that's against a team of predominantly 4 magic resistant damage characters. I mean, everybody but Caitlyn basically is going to be pumping out that magic. Yeah, I mean, she hasn't really gone for that ham damage, but she does have the survivability options, and it's playing really well for her. 514 and 200 creeps.
It's not raw HP, but Kennen can't really duel her now. That's what he wanted. He wanted to be able to say, Kennen, if I don't land a spear, you're still going down. And that's the case right now. They can go for a split push game. They can go for an AoE poke game. They have really good options. And I kind of like the Spirit Visage. It's not a common item. Morellonomicon, I'd say, would be more assumed if you want to go for a lot of cooldown reduction, but it still provides a lot of HP regeneration. It provides a lot of split push. And once that Rabadon's is finished, which it's pretty close to, only about 600 gold missing, that's going to be a poke game now. And the one thing that could just make it impossible to defend against a push coming out from...
Sorry, I didn't notice they were doing Baron.
It's Baron or the poke game. As Inox now caught out. He does get by the fear. Can they stop the Baron, though? Who cares if Inox dies if they pick up that purple worm? The worm goes down. Inox does get saved with a great little lantern there from Glarbu. Protecting his Nidalee. Needs his cougar around. That's how he rolls. It's prerogative. Tofu shift.
Oh, man.
In danger. Can you escape? We'll be fine.
Yeah.
A bit of flash for him.
Yeah. He'll be alright. But hashtag lantern mechanics. Every time I see Thresh, really impressive Threshes. are all about the lantern mechanics, getting off those, those correct plays, getting off the boxes at the right time. Really impressive stuff. But now with that Baron on top of things, I mean, 25-16, we already have that gold lead. We don't have the Ahri ultimate out of this, but Bubba Dub almost died just from the poke there.
That meatball deployment coming out from Shep or from Flappy Bearfish, burning that ultimate just to try and get some more damage out. And I mean, it forces Bubba Dub back out there. He's gonna have to, come back, and the fight might just break out here.
Now, he did buy home guards. I think he just bought those just to get back into the swing of things. But we did have the taunt go off for Ignatic, not landing it. But the tower is down. It's virtually a naked inhibitor at this point. I'm a little curious, even with this advantage, Denial's just going to back off. So instead of forcing into this inhibitor, they might start split pushing top. They're going to go looking for objectives. Sadly, there's nothing there for them. And I guess they're just content to go home for now.
It's a smart move. What do they have to wait for? They're massively ahead. Inhibitor is now exposed. They have Baron. They can just go back mid, buy items, use that now new and shiny Rabadons on Inox, and just poke. All right, if they don't get the poke game, they still win a team fight at this point just because Floppy Bearfish is 10-5-9, has a Quicksilver Sash, and he's a little scary. I would call him scary.
Quicksilver into the Mercurial. I love the fact that they upgraded the Quicksilver Sash here in Season 3 into something that is predominantly meant for those 80s, because Mercurial not only will give you another huge chunk of damage, but that on-demand cleanse, plus he already has cleanse anyway, so double cleanse. Good luck trying to catch him out.
There goes Fear. That's a 3-second CC that is no longer valid on Floppy Bearfish. They needed it.
Kennen stacks. Yep.
Kennen stacks, and I'd say very importantly, Elise is stun too. That's a 1.5 second CC. Kennen stacks, I'd say those he should get rid of as ASAP, but also Elise, Ryze's Rune Prison doesn't stop his auto attacks. And his auto attacks right now, I think can survive not all the damage, but with both Blade of the Rune King and Bloodthirster, you can tank anything. So as long as he's auto attacking, he will survive.
37%. So 37% of 300. Let's just going to take a quick math. 90 health return per hit minus armor. Yep. I think he could survive a little bit.
Well, he'll be doing good, especially with the extra burst damage, just killing people before they can do any damage.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so here we go, pushing into the mid. That inhibitor is pretty naked at this point. That's going to be the cocoon into Gleep Garbu. That's going to be some pretty decent damage on top of him. He just has to get into the back. It's going to get blocked out. The ace maybe should have kept it around, but inhibitor goes down. I was going to see if Bubba Dub wanted to have a party over the wall, but thankfully he did think other of it. And top turret.
It's exposed. Bubba Dub taking out a half HP. Inox lands one spear, not even at a long range, just to get a melee creep this time instead of Bubba Dub. But Bubba Dub, if he gets hit by a full range spear at this point, he will die. There is no doubt about that. They're just playing the Inox poke game. Yeah,
more spears. And that's what you can do with the Nidalee with max cooldown. She has the 40% due to her 2 items. And now she has, 383 ability power after that Rabadon. So tower goes down without a fight. These spears are really just playing havoc with the positioning of Reality Check Gaming. This tower is about to go down next creep wave if nothing is done. And that's going to be, a lot of free gold going the way of Denial.
It's free gold, and more importantly, that inhibitor, because they can't defend it. And Inox is playing this perfectly, just waiting around, tossing up the spears. Initiation from Shepard, though, gets the Zonias off. Is there? Does it get anybody locked down? The only Gleep Garbu. Shepard goes down. People deployed. They use the Draven ultimate. There's Bubba Dub.
R.I.P.
He almost got Flappy. And there goes the cleanup. Panzer Dragon does survive. He does go ahead and head back to the fountain and watch his base burn.
Some people like to watch the world burn. Panzer Dragon's going to be one of them today, because he can't do anything up against this. But that's a very likely game. 30-second cooldowns on those death timers, and nobody dead. Sorry, Flappy Bearfish dead. Panzer Dragon now going to get down for that ace, and this means that Denial is going to take the win here. Game 5 of MCS Week 1, Day 1 matches. It's been quite the adventure today. Torgor Jester's studio, rapid casting, and all the MCS admin crew. It's definitely been an experience, and a good game well played.
GG's all around there. There's not much to say. They had a really even game for a short while, but Denial, they've had a lot of experience. They had a lot of really, I'd say, neat plays with their mobile team comp, and it's kind of stoneballed out of control. And plus that early game, Scuba Chris, that was just beautiful.
Beautiful play. So some people are saying, hey, Reality Check, they had all their good picks, good game, Denial, done it, picks and bans. can never discount deny. I mean, Scuba Chris 4-0 in the beginning, and then I wanted to bring this up a little earlier. Of course, got busy with all this other stuff. But if he had kept stacking the kills, it really would have hurt the team. But as you can see now, the kill distribution really awesome coming out from Denial. So Jarvan took the 4-0 and started trading out all those other kills for the rest of them. And hey, 15,000 gold later at the 30-minute mark, get yourselves a kill.
That's how you got to play it. You know, he's the support driver in the end. He's helping.
He's
19 to 6.
All right, that's it for us here in the MCS Esports Day 1.